Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And I'm really excited about today's guest, Christina Franz, and coming out of Alabama. And today's talk is all about energy, spirituality, healing, mediumship, channeling. I've always been fascinated with this area, and I'm always happy to have her on the show and dive right into it. So Christina, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be here, especially sharing what I do with people. I love doing this, and the more people I can reach, the more people I get to help. So I love this. Thank you.
Yeah. So start off by telling briefly how you got to do what you do, and I'm really excited to ask you questions for the audience.
They call me like a shadow walker or the wounded healer. I'm somebody that's went through so much in my lifetime. I was always surrounded by like darker energies and everything, but it was so I knew how to work around them, how I learned how they work and breathe and function every day. And so that way I learned how to overcome them. And now I'm able to work around them every day, bring people out of that darkness where I am now and not be affected by that dark. So it wasn't an easy journey getting here, but I see the benefits of it now because I have so much knowledge and empathy and understanding for people. As soon as I meet them, I can tell what they need because I've went through what they did. Like attracting when you meet somebody, if they went through something you did. So it really gives me the power now to be able to like help transform people's lives. And that's really what it's all about. So it's all worth it. I've got to come full circle and see how like all the suffering, all the pain was like just actually the most amazing thing.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, wow. What's interesting is most empaths or intuitives or mediums or channelers, they all have this kind of tumultuous past, and that's how they develop their gifts. So one thing that came to my mind when you were talking was this idea, like when you say surrounded by dark energies, are you talking about law of attraction or actually like energies catching onto your field and affecting you?
Attaching to everybody I know more like it. It's always been around me. My mother actually had demons in her. I guess she made sold her soul in a past life. So in that case, they have the entities in them like right away and they get to control everything. They have no say. So they usually put them in somebody's life like mine where they want to try to keep you from waking up. And they pretty much control everything that person does. They have to sit there and watch them hurt the people they love every day and they can't do anything about it. So I grew up with that. My same thing happened to my father. It was around my whole family. I was born into the cursed family line. It just always finds its way to me because of my light. Always been drawn to me. But it was so I could also learn how to work through it. So I can spot it a million miles away now. So it's nice. Like none of it can affect me or touch me. And I'm able to spot it for other people and bring it to their awareness. It's been a different reality for me than what a lot of people have experienced in their life.
Interesting. Yeah, because what's interesting is before I started to do my work, I would always attract kind of these weird situations and circumstances and just, it felt like kind of energy vampires. But when you say you worked through it, what was the work that you did? Was it intention setting? Was it boundaries? Elaborate more.
Oh gosh, a little bit of everything. It took a lot. It was a lot of healing when Source started coming to me and then started my spiritual awakening. He was like, we got to rebuild your foundation. We're going to rebuild it from the ground up. Yeah. And I had to do all this healing. I had to be real with myself. A lot of people had trouble and struggle with dealing with those things inside, like actually admitting like their downfalls or the things that hurt. We want to avoid it and act like it's not there. But I really committed myself to it. So I had to throw my all in and I had to like dig inside deep to every single part of my soul and see what was actually in alignment with me, see the real meaning of things. I also had to learn how people work. A lot of times we take everything so personal. And anytime somebody says something to us, we internalize it and we change how we feel about ourselves. And so it was a long process. It took years to get where I am now. And it was just learning a little bit more every day and working on myself a little bit more, being able to pull those things up that hurt and that what we call the shadow, and be able to deal with them and see it and accept it for what it was. But the biggest part is the understanding. You have to understand people and why they do the things that they do so you don't internalize it. And that's what I think the most was understanding why people do the things they do. And so then you stop like making it all about you, even though they're trying to, you really see it them. That was a big help. I think that's probably everybody's biggest problem is we let everybody else and what they say, do, and think affect us and how we feel. I always recommend that's the number one thing that people is learn about human minds, how it works, why people react or act the way that they do. So that way that you have your power back. You're not giving your power to every single person that takes their stuff out on you. That's the biggest thing I hope.
Interesting. And for a lot of the audience, they may be thinking this is woo, but what's interesting is, for example, let's say we came out of a pandemic and we got a recession and we've got basically wars and all of this, and their kind of lives are, maybe they got divorced. How do you tell, because you mentioned you had a cursed line, and how do you tell if like you're coming from a cursed line, or if it's your karma, or if it's your dharma, or if it's a law of attraction, or if it's something that you're unconsciously manifesting, or something that you have to go through in order to reach your destiny? How do you work through all of that?
It does take time, but it is going within. We hold all the answers within us. So it's taking that time to listen to that voice in your mind, find your higher self, which can be confusing at the beginning. What helped me is I learned that there was like 3 different voices always going on in your head. You got to realize that not all those voices are yours, and not all of them should you listen to. So there is like a good angel and a bad angel on each shoulder. And you'd think the good angel would be one. So yeah, say you're like at a bar and there's somebody that you see somebody walk in, you would like to go talk to them, ask them out. Your good angel is going to be like, hey, what if that person turns them down? Then they're going to get all sad and they're going to be disappointed. It's going to be heartbreak. We don't want that to happen to them. They're going to then talk you out of it. Then you got the one over here that's very ego-ish, and they'll get you going for things like money and ego, just everything ego. Then there's a third voice. That's going to be your higher self. That's the one you want to listen to. It's always going to guide you right where you're meant to be, no matter what. So you got to discern which of those voices is the one that you need to be listening to. When you do that, you're able to move through life then with a lot less problems, as just saying, because it's actually guiding you to the right spot and whatever's for you. And, oh God, now I forgot the question that I was talking about there. Okay. What was the point of this? We start talking about this one.
Oh, how do you know if it's like how do you know if it's dharma, karma, law of attraction, something you have to go through, or something like you came from this line that you were saying, like maybe from a past life? Yeah, that's what we were asking.
Thank you. So it is really going within and to find that. I thought I was here clearing out karma for the longest time. And because that's what everybody says a lot of us are doing and everything too, and everything pointed to that. But then a few weeks ago, the smallest detail, and I found it out, and it opened up so much. It put so many pieces of my puzzle together that I hadn't put together yet. And it was like, I wasn't here to clear out family karma. I was actually here. It was like in my family line, all the people I've dealt with, they are families that have been cursed. They literally have been making bad choices for generations and have fallen from grace a long time ago and have caused a lot of the problems that we're seeing here on the earth. And I was stepping in as their last chance. I was here they could have learned from me and chose to finally take that path where they're making the good choices for themselves and everybody else. Or they could do what they did and they could choose to do the same things. And that's where I become the judge. That those families are not going to be doing so well in the future. And that's pretty much, there's different things, but you never know. It takes time to find it out. It's all going within and just listening and following the pieces. We all get little pieces of the puzzle, and it's all our job to put them together. And one day you might get a piece here, and then you get a little piece here, and then it takes one to come together and it makes a whole story. And you're like, oh, I know everything. And then no, you don't, but you still have a lot more to learn, but you think you do in that moment. But it's just A lot of it is to go within. A lot of times we want to go and outsource to a lot of other people trying to get answers. Sometimes that could be a test. They might give you false information or send you this way because they're trying to show you to go within. They're trying to bring you back to where you realize, wait, I have all the answers within me. I don't need to go and ask all these other people for advice when I could just go within because it's all there. So that's really what I've had to do. It takes time. It's not a short journey. And it's just seeking that though. Like whenever you're seeking it and they see that, when you're making the conscious effort every day in your life to be learning and evolving and coming into awareness about self, they bring the information to you when it's time. We tend to rush things though. We want everything right now. And the thing is, we can't hold all that information all at once. It's so much. They have to give it to you little by little. I tried to pack so much stuff in at the beginning. And I tell you what, most of the stuff I read, I couldn't even comprehend it because I needed to have so much more understanding before that would even make sense to me. So I've had to go back and restudy all this stuff I tried forcing on myself early because couldn't even grasp it then. And then I come look at it, I was like, I never would have got that then. Like in the beginning, I would have never seen the true meaning of it that I have now. So always go slow, be patient, understand that when it's for you, it will come to your awareness. You'll start to see the signs. If you're paying attention, you know how your guides work. They clue to you when something's for you. If it's always all of a sudden popping up in your awareness, you never heard of it before, or this idea or this new modality or anything, when you see it start popping up, that's like a clue. They're trying to show you it's time to look into this now. They're trying to bring that to your awareness. So you just got to start paying attention to those signs that are all around you and learn how your guides work. So that way you can pick up on those clues and start looking into it more.
Interesting. Reminds me of just when you were talking about kind of generational curses. And the other thing that was interesting is when I first read Whole New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, this was like 10 years ago, and it just, none of the words made sense. But then like I read it 10 years later, and a lot of the things he's talking about, like pain, body, and ego, kind of really makes sense now. So the other question is, so one thing is sometimes I'll ask for guidance, and then a lot of times that I don't get any answer or any sort of signs or anything. And then a lot, I can probably count on my hand the number of times like the divine is do this or don't do this or go here, don't go there. So like, how do you distinguish, because you were talking about signs and guides and your intuition and the universe, what is the difference? Is it all the same, or is it just all working together?
They're all working together. They're all tapped into the collective consciousness. So they know everything there is to know. They can, as if I went to my neighbor and asked my neighbor a question, they're going to give me the same answer that person would if I went directly to them. So that's where anybody you call on, they can pretty much give you the same information, but there is different levels. So it starts with, there was these different emanations of source. Source broke itself down into different fractals, and they all hold like certain characteristics, you could say, of him and her. And then they broke down that those are the monads. Then they broke down to so many different levels of angels. And then they have all these different sets that they create fractals of. And those are guides, and they all have different roles. And then there comes the humans. There's all these different levels, but all of them are all working together. Everything's here working with us. The plants, the animals, the elements, like you name it, we're all working on this together. The star people, like this helps everybody. Whenever you ascend, you're going to realize your whole star system, your whole family, your soul tribe, everybody's depending on you and you doing this work, because not only do you ascend, they ascend as well when you do this work. So it's just so much more than just you. And so you have the support of everybody, and everything we do affects everyone, since we are all a part of that whole. That's why everybody's coming together right now. It's a great time. You have love and support. Most people feel alone these days, especially when you start your journey. It's a part of the process. You're going to end up having nobody in your life for a while, but it's meant to be that way. We get too distracted by everything around us. Everything's shiny, pretty, too many people, everybody calling. There's so much to do. We don't go within it. You're never going to get where you need to be. You're never going to hear source as long as you're always distracted by people and the places and things around you. So it's a part of the journey where we have time where we don't have really anybody, because it forces you to go within. And, oh, for goodness, I almost lost this thought again. So it's just tuning in, spend that time tuning in with yourself. Take advantage of that time. And then you're able to align yourself exactly where you need to be when you're meant to be there. And everything, just the answers start coming in. You need to, Also raise your frequency though. That is an important thing. If you're trying to hear those messages, you want to make sure that your frequency is like matching those beings' energies. That might be why you're not hearing from them a lot. It's actually because of if you're not at the same frequency, it makes it hard to hear. They could be like giving you the answers, but you can't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always ask them to step down their energy some too as well, or raise your frequency to where you can hear them. So if you're ever having that problem, just set that intention. Your words are powerful. You speak it, it will be done. So we have to start like taking that power, realizing that that's all we have to do is speak those things out loud and it will be. So I would try that out if I was you. I would start this like setting intentions are everything. Set the intention. I want to connect with you. I'd like to speak with you. Make sure my frequency is where it needs to be, where I can communicate and hear with you.
Interesting. It reminds me because I have couple homes and I seem to attract haunted houses because like I grew up in a haunted house. That's when I first inkling something is weird. And then I bought another haunted house 6 years ago and I knew something was like off. And so I hired a energy cleanser and he was telling me like sometimes I guess the angels or my guides are trying to tell me, but like I never hear it. So he was actually trying to convey what they're trying to tell me. So it's interesting. What about periods of limbo? Like, for example, like if you're just like, you're asking you waiting for an answer and then it's just waiting. Sometimes it's a year, it's 2 years. It's just waiting. It's endless process. I mean, what is that? What is that about?
Sometimes it could be, I do want to say this real quick. By the way, because I just got this too about the houses.
Yeah.
You're placed there for a reason. You were somebody that has a connection to the divine realm. And those houses needed to be cleared out. So they like to put somebody there that they draw you to that house because they know that you're somebody that would pick up on it and they could get somebody in there to clear that out. So you actually helped. You were doing service. Actually, you done somebody in there, you cleaned up those energies and those souls were able to leave that place that were trapped there and the place got cleared. So you were actually just doing work for the divine.
Wow.
As for your question, a lot of times it can be, okay, so maybe what you're asking about really isn't important for you to know. We focus on usually everything that really isn't important on the journey. A lot of times we're so just in the 3D mindset and we worry about the things that really don't matter. Also, if something is not going to be beneficial for you to know it, like especially a lot of people try to dig into past lives and stuff. Sometimes if you're not going to gain anything for having that understanding or that awareness of that life, they're not going to give it to you. There's so much stuff there's too much for us to remember everything. And they're only going to want to give you what's going to help you on this journey, what's really going to help you grow and expand and come into who you really are. So those could be factors of why you don't get anything for a long time. And there's timing. Everything's timing. Like I said, with the understanding, sometimes you could be asking for something way before you're going to be ready to truly, fully understand it and grasp it. And you need to go through all these other little experiences in between here before you're going to be able to actually get that understanding. So they're not going to bring it to you till that time is right.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. The comment that you made is because I was thinking the other day, I was like, what I grew up in a haunted house. That was more like my parents. They bought that. That was that really as a byproduct. And then, but the house that I bought, and I was thinking I was like, maybe you were there to help clean it out or just restore it or heal it because there was so much trauma there. And now it's really interesting. So people listening to this and hopefully it reaches the right people, they're intuitive or they're empathic. And how do they start developing these gifts and start manifesting it? What's the difference between channeling, medium, psychic intuition? What's the difference between those three for the audience?
Yeah, there's a lot of differences. Like mine, mostly what I use is telepathy, actually. I have a telepathic connection with the divine. So even if I don't ask, I'm getting information and they're like, oh, it just happened with you. I don't even have to ask. They're just, when I need to know it, they give it to me. So I really love the telepathy more than anything. I've got to say, I've tried everything. Telepathy is where it's at. Like, it's nice. But the other ones are like channeling. You have to raise your frequency. You put up protection. You're bringing your frequency up and you're letting another being step in and they're going to speak through you. You're getting messages directly from them and they talk through you. There are people that do it consciously. And then there's ones that do it like they're in full control. They're like just giving them the answers and they're able to give it to you however they want to word it. Then there's ones where they literally give up all control and that being stepping in and they're speaking directly through to you. So that's with channeling what you're doing. And all this, by the way, if anybody does it, please put up protection. Learn that stuff first. Many people, they jump in and they don't know what they're doing and they don't put up protection and then they don't know who they're channeling from or speaking with. And they end up, the demonic world loves people like that because they get to go in and take advantage of that and act like they're somebody of your team. So protect yourself, please. But then there's mediumship. Mediumship, that's a different gift and ability. And that's where like they can directly speak with spirits, like spirits can speak to them. And a lot of spirits come to them all the time. You could just be out going to the grocery store and you have spirits following you home because they see your light and they can tell you're somebody that would be able to help them. So for many that have been wandering around and they're lost, like they're trying to figure out where to go, they would follow somebody like that. And it's their job to help. But it can be hard for those people in the beginning. You're confused by everything. You don't know why it's happening. You're scared of the things. And so it can take a while for them to see the benefit of their gift and that it is a gift, but it really is. We're not just here for the people alive. There's tons of souls that have been stuck here too. And we got to call those pieces of them back and help them cross over. So that is a very beautiful gift that I love and that I hope more people embrace that have the gift because those souls matter too. If you're on that other side and you're the soul and you're stuck there, you would want help too. Their job is really beautiful, but their mediumship, it's all about communicating with those other beings. And it's nice. It brings a lot of closure to people. Everybody's biggest issue usually is losing somebody. And a lot of people don't get over that. And it's beautiful when you see that they're still there. They can communicate with you. They will help you. And it's not your last time seeing them. You'll have many different lives with them again, but it's never the ending. So I love that gift.
One final question is, for people that they're very, for example, we have a lot of doctors on this podcast listening, and a lot of them are healers. And they really, they suffer from this syndrome called compassion empathy syndrome. And it's basically they're so caring and very diligent and conscientious, and they get taken advantage by bosses and managers. And you mentioned protection, there's the saying like intentions and boundaries, but what are certain things that you can do to protect against narcissists or like manipulators or just sociopaths, psychopaths, because what's really interesting is like before I started doing boundary work, I would attract like just weird people. It's just, and then once I started to know, I figured it out and started to like create these intentions and boundaries. But how do you protect yourself?
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is,
"Thank you for calling. Please listen to your list of 46 possible service options."
Which is why when you choose USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable. 24/7 online service for claims, access to roadside assistance, and more. All at the touch of a button. Start getting the service you deserve. Get a quote today. Ability to receive a quote depends on membership eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Self-love. That is everything. It's about self-love. It's realizing you got to realize your flaws. You got to realize your weaknesses. Okay. If this is something that happens, I'm easily taken advantage of, then you have to love yourself enough to stay consciously aware of what's going on around you all the time and draw those boundaries. Look for those warning signs. Do not give too much of yourself. And then to these people could be great people and they don't have that intention. But sometimes when you give so much of yourself freely, it changes the way people are. As for somebody else, if you had boundaries and you made sure that people like respected you, didn't cross those, they will abide by that. You will see a different person. But when you just give, you can send them, you can change how they are. They end up just taking advantage. They always expect you to be there. You're always going to give yourself. They don't even realize that they need to think about you and show up too. I've had this happen before too, a lot. So it's like you have to love yourself enough to say, okay, this is my weakness. This is where I know that I end up going into problems. So you're not even going to put yourself in those situations. You got to love yourself enough and know that you deserve the respect enough to not go through that. So you're always going to have to watch. It's a conscious effort every day. It's not something you could just snap into place and it's just there now. No, it's an everyday process, remembering and making sure that you are not giving too much. Also holding people accountable, wanting them to show up in your life as well. If they're not willing to do the same thing that you did for them, don't help them. There's people out there that just want somebody to do everything for them.
Mhm.
And this was a hard thing for me to understand. Source told me one time, we're not here for everybody. And I was like, yes, you are. We save everybody. And he's no, we're not here to save everybody. And it was hard, but it took me a little while and I finally got it. He was saying that there are people that just want somebody else to do the work for them. They want to have fun. They like to have the fun and do all the good stuff. But then when it comes to the cleaning up their messes or actually putting in the effort, they just want to pay somebody else to do it or whatever, or avoid it. And he's like, we're not here for them because you never learned the lesson then. You actually have to go through the experience and overcome it before it sticks with you and you've learned something and you wouldn't continue to do it in another life. So that's why those people, if they're not putting work in their self, if they're not committed to actually helping their self, then you don't need to be focusing on them either because they're not there yet. You're just giving your energy away to somebody that's taking advantage when somebody else that would appreciate it, you could have been helping them instead. So it's also realizing things like that. There are times where, yes, they want your help, but is it really helping them? You're actually enabling them because sometimes those people got to hit rock bottom before they're going to actually step up to the plate. So when somebody's always helping them and belling them out or doing this for them, they never get to where they need to be, to where they actually start doing the work themselves. So these are little things that I just picked up as I went along. I was lucky and I had the divine just guiding me and teaching me these things. And it really helped me because I had everybody in my life doing that. I was the epitome of this in life. Like I had so many people always taking advantage because I am so kind and I would do something. And all they were doing was taking advantage of me though. When it boiled down to it, I started saying no. And then I didn't even have to kick anybody out of my life. They all left after I said no about 2 or 3 times. I never heard from them again. I went, what happened to you? My best friends. What happened to you? Love me so much. Never heard from them just because they couldn't get anything from me. So literally when you see that, it makes it easy. You start to say, okay, now I see their true colors. Now I see this is an issue. And I started to love myself. I said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to start to listen and I'm going to honor myself and make sure that I'm doing what's best for me. And also them. I don't want to enable anybody. And if they need to hit rock bottom or figure it out on their own, I'm going to let them because that's what's best for them. We're not here to save everyone. We're here to work on ourselves first and foremost. You got to always put yourself first because that you heal yourself, you heal the world.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. There's so much I want to, and just quick rapid fire questions. Just hopefully these are really brief. What is psychic surgery?
psychic surgery, it is definitely a different level of healing. I was told that it's something that can be learned, but I haven't seen anybody doing courses on it yet. They said anybody can learn it, but some of us are born and it's been something that we have picked up over lifetime. So we are able to do it, but we are able to go within, we heal them in our mind. We take ourselves into the astral realm and we are with their astral body. So we can heal literally anything in the astral body, in the astral realm. And when you do this, it literally heals the physical as well. So there are people that say you need knee surgery. It's really bad. And the doctor's like, there's no going around it. You have to have that surgery. They come to somebody like me and we literally do our work and they go back to the surgeon and they're like, oh my God, it's a miracle. What have you been doing? It's healing itself. And they can't believe it. The doctors usually can't fathom what is going on because they don't believe in any of this. It happens all the time and it's amazing. But it's that next level of healing that we are stepping into since we are going into this new higher timeline. And so these are gifts that we used to have that we haven't had for a long time that are just coming back into our awareness and capability of having. And it's a game changer. It really helps people on a level that you can never imagine. We're supposed to in the future, it's going to be like the doctors and us work hand in hand. We still need the doctors and everything, but it's supposed to be where we work together as like a team to give these people the correct healing they need. They don't always need to be cut open and operated on and stuff. And a lot of times that can cause more harm to them. So we're healing them, all their other bodies that usually you don't see and you don't know you have. We heal those and then it actually follows suit and it heals the physical body.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, because I used to, when I was in training as a doctor, I used to get really bad anxiety and my chest would squeeze up and I get palpitations. And then once I was like, this got to stop, otherwise I'm going to be dead. So then once I removed myself, I started to heal and now it's gone. What is
a lot of times that's healing that needs to be done. A lot of times there was so much you had built up like that you never dealt with.
Uh-huh.
And so that's usually what happens in those circumstances. You had a lot of stuff built up. It could have been hurt or pain or rage, anger, anything. And that's what causes those. That was your body's way of signaling to you, you need to heal something. There's something you need to deal with. And once you do that, you see all these people that think they have depression and bipolar and all this too, or anxiety. It goes away once you do the work. Like it just disappears.
What is Kaya Shani and what is Oracle? What is that?
Kaya Shani is actually, I'm fixing to change my name legally to that, but it was my name given to me by source now. They mentioned this in a part in the Bible, but it's like after you have your death and rebirth, you have a new name you're supposed to get. So this is the name that source gave me. It was actually a soul name of mine. It's actually not a name at all. It's more of a frequency.
Mhm.
He said, but for a name, that's how you say it is Kaya Shani. So it's what I'm going by now. So I'm gradually switching over to that. And Oracle, I was working with Oracle and stuff, but I just separated with Oracle. But that was the place where you could go to find other channelers, mediums to get work from and healers and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah. How can people find you if they wanted to do a trauma or healing or get a reading or a call? How could they do that?
Earth Angel Light Activation at square.site. I can send it to you after this too, if I don't know if you want to put it in the video or something, but yes, you could go there. I'm on TikTok under Kaya Shani. You can also find me on there. And I'm under my name, Christina Franz, on Facebook or LinkedIn, any of those things you want to find me or you want to look up. Can't talk now. Look me up that. I'm on there as well.
Really, I really enjoyed this conversation. Every time I talk to a healer or medium or a psychic, I always get new insights. And I've worked with a couple healers, and it's really a fascinating field. And you can, whether you believe it or not, you can use some of the principles to help you in your life. Thanks so much. And I encourage all the audience to check out Christina's website, her work, her services, her socials. And thanks so much for a really enlightening conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love sharing this information. So anytime.